Well, hello everyone. Steve Anderson with Work Camper News, and we are so excited to have you with us today. We are here today for a version of From the Horse's Mouth. And joining me today is my partner, Mr. Terry Cooper, the Texas RV professor. And I'm here in Heber Springs, and he is in Athens, Texas at the Big Red Schoolhouse. Good morning, Mr. Cooper.
Good morning. You know all roads lead to Athens, right?
Absolutely, and especially on a
Okay.
sunny day, they are always landing there in Athens. Well, Mr. Cooper, I was thinking about this today, and we've not done one of these from the horse's mouth for a while, and I would say based upon the attendance we have, a lot of people like to hear what's going on. That's exciting.
Well, I'm going to ask these folks to kind of be patient with us and pretend I'm your old Uncle Fred. You know, that Uncle Fred, the one that's in your family that would tell you the same stories when you go to the family reunions or the Christmas parties or whatever. And you say, I've heard this before, but you have to pretend that you're surprised with the ending. So some of you have already seen some of this. Some of you may have already been here at the class, they've been here at the building, but we're kind of proud of what we have, and we want to show you some opportunities.
Well, Mr. Cooper, as you know very well, and some of these folks, if they have played with us in the past, um, it's repetition is one of the key elements of learning. And they say that you really need to see and hear something 7 times in order to have it down well. So I don't see that being a problem. Even if they have played with us in the past, this will be some good bringing up the memories as well as helping them go, oh yeah, I remember that, because maybe they'll have the opportunity to share that information with someone else. Well, we've got literally hundreds and hundreds of people that are on this webinar, and many of you are new. Many of you have no idea who we are, so we decided we better take just a few minutes to reintroduce ourselves. And my name is Steve Anderson. I'm the president and co-owner of Work Camper News. And we have now actually been operating Work Camper News. The business has been functioning for 30 some years. My bride, Kathy Jo, and I have now owned it going into 16 years. And we still publish a bi-monthly magazine. A lot of people say, well, what's a magazine? Isn't that a dinosaur? It kind of is in this day and age, but a lot of people love our magazine still. And we connect people that desire to travel where they want, when they want, for as long as they want, and show them how they can actually pay their way in doing that. And we also put out a daily hotline that goes out to literally tens of thousands of people every single day. And we have a lot of dreamers that are potential work campers out there. In fact, we are now doing a program called the Dreamer's Journey, which we actually produce a couple different webinars every single week. And so our annual event that we have is the Rendezvous coming up, and we're working on that. And I know it's hard to think about a live event right now because of what we're all doing, hunkering down because of the coronavirus. But this is going to pass, folks. It is going to pass. And as you've heard many times, we're all in this together. And as we go through this transition of learning and getting this thing under control, we're going to come out stronger on the other end. Because the Lord is in control, folks, and we are going to see a great ending to this, I have no doubt. So that's a little bit about me, Mr. Cooper. Let's learn a little bit more about you.
Well, I'm a master certified tech. Lady E, this lady that's here with me, she is, folks, you know, when you married up, you know it. Well, I can definitely see that's what happens here. I married up when this lady said yes. We own Mobile RV Academy. It was a company that we would travel around the country, do training at dealerships and RV parks and so on. And really, that's what we were doing when we met the Andersons. Um, I had been a college instructor at a technical school there in Waco, Texas. Eventually, I was the online instructor for a community college in Pennsylvania. And we're going to show you about what the National RV Training Academy is all about. So right now, Lady E and I kind of manage this while the Andersons are fighting their fires up there. We take care of things down here in Texas. We do still do quite a bit of dealer tech training, do a lot of off-premise. I've got a client that's up in Pennsylvania that rents this movie equipment. And so he has me come up and train his technicians on the dressing rooms and the equipment that they have. So we have our hands in all kinds of different things, but quite honestly, when your heart's in it, it's not a job. It's not a job at all. You really enjoy it. You just do it. Well, we traveled around the United States together for 5 years until 2017. And those of you that have been around us, you remember that you could come into an RV park and we'd have reserved somewhere around 25 to 30 sites, so that way the students could come. We'd have a room that we could have our classes in. And then it became more and more difficult, because what happened was a lot of these real estate investment companies were buying up the RV parks and converting them to a full-time type facility where somebody would stay in them monthly, yearly. And so it changed the whole dynamics of the park. So we'd show up the next year, we'd already paid our deposit, and the manager that we had known for, however many times we'd been through there was no longer there. And so pretty soon it got to be kind of touch and go sometimes in finding a place in different parts of the country, because we would start typically in the winter and start in Florida, work our way across Texas, Arizona, California, work our way western coast, Salem, Oregon, Washington State, and then dodge across and we would catch the Midwest. So what we did is we stayed just behind bad weather as best we could. So if it was snowing up north, we wanted to be down. That's how we lived. And so you're looking at the units, the rigs that we had. I still have this big truck. His name is Max. Lady E and I turned in the big full house DRV. We were ambassadors for DRV. And so she would do a quarterly report of what's going on with it, make suggestions in the kitchen, and it was a good ride. But all things sometimes have to come to an end. And so I want you to remember this. This is that old Uncle Fred thing, remember? 80-20, 80% of the problems that we're going to have with RVs are going to be easy to fix and easy to access if someone will just show us how. We all have these islands of knowledge from our experience, from previous education, previous job experience. And what we try to do is to help people connect those islands of knowledge with bridges. Sometimes we can just give you a little tidbit, like Mr. Anderson said, it may be that we have to talk about it 6, 7 times, and then all of a sudden it'll click and we'll see the light come on, because all of a sudden you've started connecting the islands of knowledge you have, and it now is relevant to you. And so I want to take advantage of that. Now, in 2017, when we made our jump and made some changes in our life, the industry was begging for technicians. I mean, we're having record RV sales. I mean, things were going through the roof. I can't tell you the number of phone calls and emails that I would get on a weekly basis. Somebody just saying, "Hey, I'm looking for technicians. I've got this special program. Send them to me." Like we had a garage full of technicians standing around, right? Or inspectors. It just totally amazed me. People just thought they could pick up the phone and call, not realizing that the shortage was around the country. Well, like we kind of was cutting up a while ago, all roads lead to Athens, Texas. What happened was is Mr. Anderson and I sat down and visited with one of the gentlemen that handles pretty much all of the RV park and mobile home park business in the state of Texas. This guy is kind of the giant. He's the guru. If you're looking for a park, you go to him, and he's pretty much got his thumb on the pulse of things. And he just flat out told us, folks, I'm sorry to tell you this, there are no RV parks for sale in the state of Texas, because that's where you're wanting to be home based. He said, unless you want to buy one of those man camps out in West Texas, he said, there's nothing. But we knew there had to be some changes. You know how you know that change is coming in your life? And that's what we felt. Change is coming, and we saw the doors closing on a traveling that we were doing. And so we knew that we had to do something else. And we had this vision. And I mean, really, the urgency to build a park, buy a park, do something, because we felt like we had to be in a little bit better control of our training venue. We'd had some situations where we'd show up and it was a scramble to find a room. I mean, we had one location where we actually had to take a piece of plywood, a sheet of plywood, and lay it on top of a pool table, throw a sheet over it, and that was the desk for the students. So it's in all this pool table was, it was in a recreation area. And of course, we were the bad people, because for that full week we were there, no one could come in and use the exercise machine or the sauna, because we had that room basically locked down with students inside. So after you have a couple of situations like that, it's kind of difficult to think that this is going to continue on. But as in all things in life, things change. And we need to remember this. Those of us that are seeing what's happening with this virus change. But you know what? if we'll look at what's going on, it's amazing how doors will open. You know how we always say, well, when one door closes, another door opens? Well, that's what happened with us here. We had an opportunity, a gentleman come up to me, I was at an RV show, and he just told me, he said, you know, what you really need is an RV park so you could host your own classes. And I'm thinking to myself, it'd been a long day, I'd been doing classes, and I thought to myself, mister, tell me something I don't know. And then he proceeded to tell me about this little park that he knew about in a city called Athens, Texas. And it turns out there was a divorce in process, and he's a retired pastor, and he was counseling with one of the people, and they have this RV park, and they really want to sell it. And I'm thinking, well, that sounds great, but okay. Well, about a week or so later, I get a phone call from a friend of ours. His name was Greg Gerber. I don't know if any of you guys remember him. He had the RV newsletter called the RV Daily Report, and Greg is always tied into all kinds of networks. And he called me. He said, Cooper, there's an RV park for sale. And he said, actually, there's two of them in Texas. He said, one of them's down close to Houston. And he said, then there's one in this little community called Athens, Texas. Do you know where Athens is? And I'm thinking to myself, all right, they've told me once and they've told me twice. Something's going on here. So Lady E and I decided to do a little recon. And so we stayed here at the Texan RV Park. We pulled in. It was nice. It's a cute little place. It's, you know, a little over 37 acres. It had like 75 sites, had some cabins. But here's something I want you to notice. You see here in this bottom picture, that little red star? Just remember that position right there, because I'm going to show you something. And things happen in our lives that we don't always know. And I have to give credit to God. We are people of faith, and we believe that our steps are ordained, our steps are directed. And if we'll just be quiet and sometimes listen to what the Lord has to say, He will direct us. And this was truly one of those things that we were directed to. Now, what you're looking at is, like I say, the park. Now, we came into it and we realized that the clubhouse wasn't going to be big enough. So what we had to do is we had to bring in these portable buildings. These are the same kind of buildings that the public schools use when they start outgrowing the schools. And so they bring in these portable classrooms built by the same people. So we had one brought in that had the capacity to handle 2 classrooms, had restrooms in it. And this was going to be what we called the Little Red Schoolhouse. So we started teaching classes in July of 18. I'm sorry, January of 18. We'd bought the RV park in July of 17. So things were moving along at a pretty good clip. But what happened was we began to outgrow the Little Red Schoolhouse. I mean, we were juggling, trying to get classes for the inspectors, trying to get classes for the technicians, trying to grow the technical classes, because we kept having demand for people say, look, I want to become a mobile technician, or I want to go to work for a dealership, or I need to know more about how to maintain my own unit. And so we begin to say, okay, we've got to find a way to build, to expand. And so on this piece of property here at the Texan RV Park is this large piece of property, about 4 acres on the frontage road. And we kept thinking that'd be a perfect place. Now, notice the red star again. Okay. And it's very important because there was something there placed there many years ago that we did not know about when we bought the RV park. But that's just the way the Lord is. Sometimes He plants these little diamonds and we don't know it till we start digging and finding what things are going on. So we broke ground on the Big Red Schoolhouse. We call it Big Red. We did this in February of 18. Now, I never have done a groundbreaking before, so I guess I was kind of a rookie at this. I was trying to learn from these other guys, but we were putting it all on the line. But we knew that this is what we were supposed to do. Then they began to start pushing dirt around, and then we found out that there was clay underneath, and so they had to come in there and excavate. They went down exactly 20 feet to get to that clay. And the soil engineers told us, said, you need to bring in good soil to build your foundation on. And then of course the guys that were doing all the excavation were telling us, all this money we were going to spend on bringing in this dirt and everything. But I had a real peace about it. I knew there was something else that needed to be done. It's just, but how do you can't build a monster building on clay, because with rain it expands and contracts, and of course you cracks your foundation. And then the gentleman who was doing the excavator, he's really a neat man. He's a Mennonite, and this, talk about work ethic. Those people have a work ethic. He said, Cooper, he said, this little church down the road here, he said, we're working on their parking lot, and they're expanding their church, building a new sanctuary. They have got some of the best soil in this county. I've not seen this good a soil, because he said it's usually has a lot of clay in it, or it's what they call sugar sand. He said, this is right in the middle. He said, this is great soil. Well, we'd been going to church there. So I pulled the pastor aside, and he said, well, how much do you need? I said, he said, well, take all you need. So in just that one conversation, we now had trucks driving for 2 solid days, driving less than a mile from our location to where the school was going to be built, dumping all this nice dirt, good filled dirt, clean, and it had good compaction capacity, didn't have clay in it. So we now talk about the building, the Big Red Schoolhouse is being built on holy ground, because that's where it came from. It came from the church down the road from us. Well, the Monday after Mother's Day in 2018, the crew started pouring concrete. That was quite a sight. Let me just tell you, to watch those guys with that big old boom truck, how they could pour that concrete. And I mean, they worked and they worked and they worked till late Monday afternoon floating that slab out. But what we ended up with was 15,000 square feet of concrete slab. Now, how this all came about is a story in of itself. And so those of you that when you come to the National RV Training Academy to take classes, will tell you the story. But it's a miracle how the money came about. It came from a phone call. But long and short of it, the funds came in, because we certainly didn't have it, certainly didn't have the SBA loans and all the other things, but the money began to come in. So we began to start buying the steel after we had the slab poured and cured. Then it began to start coming up, and things were rocking and rolling real well, and we were getting things done. And then all of a sudden, the job foreman had a heart attack. And so basically for 2 weeks, things were on hold till we got him back on his feet. And I mean, this guy, he was persistent. He'd have his wife, they had a Suburban, and he'd have his wife drive him out here every afternoon so he could observe what had been done that day. And he'd coach his team, and then the manufacturer of the sheet metal and the building and the iron and everything began to send a crew out. Now, look at the top left-hand picture. Do you see the star? It's still there, isn't it? And here's the Big Red Schoolhouse completed. It's 2-story, 15,000 square feet, 12,000 on the ground floor, and 3,000 up above on the second story. Now, if this building looks familiar, it's because you probably drink Budweiser. We were looking at some books, and I was just thinking we were going to just get a plain Jane metal building, something industrial looking. And Lady E says, no, it's got to be more than that. And she was going through this book, and she said, there it is right there. That's what we need. And it was the barn for the Clydesdale horses. And I said, honey, that looks like a horse barn. And she said, but honey, that's what we're supposed to have. And so that's what it is. So when you go inside, it's massive on the inside. It's huge. Now, you remember that old ugly red, yellow sign that we had? And so now we have the huge billboard with the lights, and you can see it for miles coming from each direction on Highway 175. Isn't it ironic that you can buy a piece of property that has 4 acres, that has frontage, that you can build this facility? Now, while this thing was being built, we'd go to the electrical warehouses and the plumbing warehouses, and we were buying parts and everything, and they want to know about this barbecue barn that we're putting in, or is that going to be a drive-through beer barn, or what's this going, or dance hall? What's that going to be? And they just couldn't understand that somebody would come in and would build a 15,000 square foot training facility to train RV technicians and RV inspectors. And you know what? That became the name that everybody just hung on. I said, oh, you're that big red building out there. And it's been amazing. I'll meet people on the street and we'll start talking about it and said, and we tell them, say, well, you know, we had the big red schoolhouse. And they said, oh, you mean the one out there on 175 going between Athens and Dallas? I said, yep, that's us. So what do you guys do out there? And we begin to share. So now on a monthly basis, we'll have the Chamber of Commerce here. We'll have the local electrical co-op come in. We've got the Board of Realtors come in, because this is also a community center. Because this building is owned by a nonprofit organization called the Big Red Schoolhouse Community Center, and it's a 501c3. And why this is so important is because by having that as a nonprofit, it allowed us to accept donations. Now, I thought, okay, we're going to be taking money. But what has amazed me is how many of the vendors and suppliers and manufacturers send things to us. I mean, here less than a month ago, one of the dealers sent us 2 brand new Flagstaff travel trailers. Now the guy called me, the VP of the service department, and he called me and said, Cooper, I got these 2 RVs I'm going to send you and you can use them in your classes. And I'm thinking, well, thank you, Tony, I appreciate that. And deep down in my heart, I'm thinking, I hope they're not pieces of junk, because, you know, sometimes people want to give you something and it's not exactly usable. But when them babies showed up, they were brand spanking new. They had never been titled. And then we've got one of them, then we've got one of the supply houses that supplies all or most of the appliances, equipment, and things to the dealerships, a company called NTP Stag. Now they are, you know, that's not something that we as consumers would know about, but Stag contact said, look, we've got some inventory that may have had some damage, some freight damage. Would you be interested in it? Well, to date, as of to date, we have had 9 truckloads. 9 truckloads of equipment. We have got refrigerators, furnaces, air conditioners, water heaters, awnings, rubber roof material. You name it, these guys seem to have it. And it's always amazing to me what they send us. You open it up and it's like, where's the damage? And it was because the box was damaged, or maybe it got shipped and it was the wrong one. So rather than try to put it back in their inventory, they give it to us. Now, they gave us, you know, some of these big 4-door refrigerators in these RVs that go for $4, $5, maybe $6,000. You know, the ones that have ice in the door and have the dispenser for water. They sent us about 10 of those things. So, I mean, it's been phenomenal what this building has been able to draw in because of it being a nonprofit. Now, I'm going to take you through a tour. I want to show you, just to kind of give you the impact of what's happened. Now, what you're looking at here is we've come in the front door of the Big Red Schoolhouse. There's the reception desk on the left-hand side. And then on the picture on the right here, that's Lady E talking to, if I remember correctly, I think it's one of the realtors here in town. Notice the catwalk that goes across the top. Lady E says this has to be an industrial farmhouse look. So what you're looking at here are handrails that have been made out of metal tubing and angle iron. And those of you that are from the country or have been around the livestock know that those are cattle panels, or we call them hog panels back where I'm from. So what they did is they took those panels and that became the panels that we used all throughout this building. Now, this is one of the pictures I want you to see where we're looking across the Bay Area. Now, this is looking out over the area where we have basically 4 service bays that we can bring units into and set up for students to do hands-on training. Okay. Now, these 2 units in the front picture here are ones that we bought them from the FEMA. When they finished with the Hurricane Harvey, they sold a bunch of units. And so we bought some of these. Now, only one of these units had been lived in. The others had been set up, but nobody had ever lived in it. So, I mean, these things were pristine on the inside. And you see that one that's right here, that's the small one, the little white one that's in the background, that was one that was donated by another dealership. What had happened was a manufacturer had gone bankrupt. And so that unit or that brand was an orphan. And this dealer called me and said, Cooper, I can't sell these things unless I put an extended service policy on them. There's not enough margin on it. He said, I'm having to cut my price. If I could donate this to the Big Red Schoolhouse, could you give me a tax break on that? I said, sure, we'll give you a donation sheet for it. So that's how we ended up with the IGO. And so we use this unit for Howard and his inspectors to inspect. Because if you'll notice, see that catwalk that's just to the left of that trailer in the very back, the little IGO? Well, the students get up on top of that catwalk and line up, and they can look over the balcony, they can look over the rail and see Howard be up on the roof. Now he'll take the GoPro cameras and he'll shine it down and show people what's going on, what's happening on the top side. Here's a better shot so you can see a little bit closer, okay? We have gone as far as adding a television right directly above the IGO, so that way when Howard puts that signal out, he sends it to that television, so people standing there on that catwalk behind that where it says B&W Trailer Hitches, which by the way, they were big donors. But anyway, they're standing there looking over the rail, and then they can look up and they can see the detail of where he's pointing by using that GoPro camera, and it broadcasts to that television. Well, we've got 3 big classrooms, but we find that we use the service bays for classrooms as well. Now, most of you know Lippert, or they also go by the name of LCI. They're the ones that build most of the travel trailer and the fifth wheel frames. They do most of the leveling systems and axles and so on. Well, they contacted us. Stephanie had been talking to them. Stephanie Henson, who's the director of administration for the RV Inspectors Association, had been visiting with them, and they came down and visited, and they said, yeah. So right now, Athens, Texas is the only training school that LCI has that you can do hands-on training with their equipment. And the only other place in the country that has the same complement of equipment is their manufacturing plant there in Elkhart, Indiana. So Elkhart, Indiana, Athens, Texas. So what we do is we open the building up so that way these vendors and suppliers can come, because the more the dealers come, the more they see what's going on in this facility, what happens is it brings them back for additional training. So yes, we were more than happy to open the doors and let LCI come in and do training out here. But they shipped those frames to us, gave them to us, and Dick Carnes, one of the instructors here, assembled these things and put the hydraulics and the electric leveling systems on it. And so that way the students could do the hands-on piece. Now, what you're looking at here is one of the classrooms. Now, in this classroom, these rooms are 30 by 30, and they're set up with big screen television, high definition television. And so the purpose is so that way you can sit in these rooms and you can see the fine details of the PowerPoints and the videos that need to be shown. We had used enough projectors, enough video screens, projector screens, that sometimes it gets just a little bit washed out. But when you got these big screen televisions, it makes a world of difference. Now, I'm going to walk you through, and I want to show you just a little bit more, but what I want to give you some insight to is that when things start changing in your life, we have to step back and say, okay, what can we do? What can we change to make this thing work? Now, since we've been on the road, and since we've had the place here in Athens, this was what we always worked with, was the training triad, because what we found, our students came in one of 3 categories. Either individuals came to us because they wanted to master their RV. They wanted to know more about it. They knew they had the technical skills. They could maintain it. They could service it, do what needed to be done, take care of the little stuff. And if they had some major stuff, then that's when they would take it to the dealer. But by far, most of this was individual says, I can do this. I'm an electrician, I'm a plumber, I'm an engineer, I can do this, but somebody just needs to show me how. And then we had people coming to us that say, look, I'm ready to make a career change. I've either been laid off of my job, or I've retired, I want to do something different. I am tired of what I'm doing. I've got the golden handcuffs on me, and I'm there only because of the paycheck, and all of a sudden something's happened there. So I need to learn how to work on these units so I can start my own mobile service, or maybe go to work for a dealership or a service center. And then we had others of you that come to us and say, look, I'm traveling all over the country. Mr. Anderson keeps talking about, I really need to own a business so that way I can have some tax benefits. And so we now begin to show you how to do RV inspections and be able to learn them in a very short period of time So that way you can start from scratch, start your business, and travel all over the country, taking care of yourself and making a very good living. Now, allow me to kind of walk you through this. I really focused on this morning. I want you to know I've been up since about 2:30 this morning working on this because it just, I struggled with it because I thought, how do I convey what's going on here? So basically, what we know is that every time we have knowledge, if we understand a situation or understand the complexity of it and can figure out and make it simple, then it gives us power. And that power is what makes that fear go away. Because if you know something about the situation, you're not fearful about it. And so I want us to walk through and I want to show you some things that I believe that might help us during this time to where we are right now. Is a lot of us are having to make decisions, and some of them are kind of fearful, and people that I talk to sometimes are very fearful and say, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's like, you sound like a broken record. Let's step back. Let's look at your options. So you can come and take maintenance training with us and learn how to master your own RV. We already know that. So you can do that. Spend 5 days with us. Now I'm going to show you some other ways that you can get this same knowledge. Maybe not spending the 5 days in live classes, because right now at this particular time we are shelter in place. In other words, we're not conducting any classes in the classroom because of the virus that we're having to deal with. Now let me step back here. My thing jumped ahead on me. Some of you are going to say, you know what, I want to become an inspector. So when you finish this RV maintenance training, you will be a level 1 NRVIA certified RV inspector. That the NRVIA, the National RV Inspectors Association, said, look, we're trying to build our inspector base. We will credit for taking that RV maintenance course. We'll give them credit and give them level 1 certification as an inspector. Now, level 1 gives you the ability to do what we call VIN verification. Lets you go out and do a little inspection for a bank or lending institution. But if you're really going to do the home inspection type of inspection, you're going to need the level 2. Now, we've had some individuals that say, okay, I've got everything I need, and they have their level 1, they run out there, and they find out real quick, 1, they don't know how to use the software, 2, they really don't know how to scope a unit, and sometimes they say more and they put themselves at risk more than they should. And those are the things that Howard and Pam teach you in the level 2 class, the advanced class, because they don't turn you loose until you've done at least 2 inspections after you finish their class with them. And so one is going to be on a towable, travel trailer, or fifth wheel. The other is going to be a motorized. You must prove to them that you know what you're doing, and you turn in reports to them, and they grade it, evaluate it, make recommendations, bring it back to you. And when you complete that, those two inspections, then you have your level 2. Now, some of you say, well, you know what? Yeah, I might eventually want to be an inspector, but first I want to become a technician. So when you finish this RV maintenance training, you now have the ability to set for the registered RV technician certification. It's all you have to do is take an exam. That's all you have to do. 75 questions, sit down and take it. There is actually a review the day before, because what we find many times, technicians or people that are of a technical mind that like to work with their hands usually have a lot of test anxiety. So if you can take them through a prep class, you can get them set up to where they can pretty much take care of themselves, and they know what they're getting into when they sit down and take this exam. Said, oh yeah, okay, I've already seen this question, or seen one just like it. I know what they're talking about. Then those of you that want to stay a little longer, spend another, so the RV maintenance is 5 days. You go in your direction of RV technician. Then we have advanced RV technician classes. We have 4 days of RV air conditioners, 4 days of RV refrigerators, 4 days of water heaters and furnaces, and then we have the exterior systems, everything from roof to slide outs, the leveling system. And then here's the beautiful thing about it. You don't have to take them in order. We've had folks that have come down, and we had one guy come all the way down from upstate New York. He would take a class, be gone, come back a month later, take another class, be gone, take another class. And he finally got his classes done. Dwayne, I mean, that guy is he's the poster child of perseverance. This guy would drive all the way down, spend a week, drive all the way back home, because the job he had, they'd let him bunch some days together so he could do it. When you finish these 4 classes, these 4 advanced classes, you're then able to set for your certified RV technician certification. Now, basically what you're looking at there is you're going to have a written exam, and then you're also going to have a hands-on, because you've got to be able to demonstrate that you can work on appliances, the air conditioners, refrigerators, furnaces. So you're going to be graded based upon the bugs, the troubles that have been put in those units, and you troubleshoot them in a certain period of time. And then some of you are going to even move on and say, hey, I want to become a master certified technician. Well, you got to have 3 years as a certified tech. You got to have 24 hours, CEU hours of vendor training. And what we're trying to do is to expand you and broaden your ability and your knowledge. And then you're going to have to take the other 2 exams, one being the written, the other being another hands-on piece. And so when you accomplish that, you take those 2 exams and you pass those, and you have your 3 years and you have your credentials as far as your CEUs, then you're issued your mastered. Okay. Let me show you what we're talking about. These are the patches that are issued to you, the certificates. So you can see the registered, that's after the first week, the 5 days. And then the certified is after you have taken on top of the 5-day, the RV maintenance, then you take the 4 classes, the advanced classes, and then you see your master. Okay, you got to have your 3 years and on. You know, when we built the classes, we thought we'd built them plenty big. But what do you do when you're wall-to-wall chairs and elbows, and so we've had to move it out in the Bay Area. Now here's Todd teaching one of the 5-day live classes there. Now, what you can look at the backdrop there, they're doing docking stations. So they're obviously probably in about day number 3 in the afternoon, covering water systems, because he's talking about the docking stations. Now here's what they cover in the 5-day hands-on class. This is the first one. So what they do is you're going to go through the 3 electrical systems, and that's usually going to take you about 2 days, because you got to learn how to use your multimeter. Then we're going to take you into propane, because you need to know how to do a propane leak test with what they call a manometer. It's gas pressure tester, and show you how to hook it up, how to test, what to look for, because folks, you'd be totally blown away if you knew how many RVs that we see during the inspection process that no one has ever checked for leak tests. And some of these came straight from the manufacturers. They should have been caught by the dealers, because that's what they are sometimes supposed to do. But we've seen some situations. We had one unit, we had some inspectors that were working with FEMA, and one of the inspectors had 6 different leaks in an RV that FEMA had bought a trailer on. FEMA had hired some of the inspectors to come in and teach, or I'm sorry, come in, and these inspectors have been some that had been taught here at the National RV Training Academy. They had their credentials, they had their level 2, and they were hired by a group, and they went and did the inspections on the units that FEMA was buying. And so they would run them through, they would inspect them, create a report, turn it over to FEMA, and FEMA would make the decision whether they were going to buy that unit or send it back. Then day number 4, we're going to do the appliances. Day number 5, we're going to finish up with the appliances and do the exterior system. So guys, you're going to feel like that you're being hosed down by a fire hose. There's so much information coming at you. But what we find with you guys that are adult learners, and ladies, I'm serious, some of our best students are ladies. I have a standing order with 3 dealerships here in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex for ladies, because they say ladies makes better technicians and ladies talk to the customers better. So guys, maybe there's something we need to learn about that, okay? But let's just say that we can't come for that 5-day class. And so we realized that real quick. And so what we did while we were traveling around the country, we filmed all 5 days and then broke them up into modules. Modules last anywhere from about 8 to, I think, about 16 minutes long, somewhere in that area. So where you can just read one. There's the books. These are the exact same books that you would have if you were here taking it with us live with hands-on. And it's on a thumb drive, and it's shipped to you in priority mail. So you can either take it with a thumb drive, and some people say, well, you know, I don't want to have to wait for it. How about if I could, is there another way I can take it? Well, we have the ability to let you go into the website and pull up this information and have it streamed to you. So you actually have internet access to these courses, exact same material that you'd see here on this thumb drive. So what we did is that when we had people that say, look, I can't come because I can't get away for vacation, or, it's too late in the season for me, or I've got this thing going on, but I want to order that, what we call the home study. You'll also hear people call it the RV Tech in a Box. And it's the exact same material because we recorded the same classes. But what we also did is we included two major bonuses. We put a $300 coupon in that box. So that way, when you got the home study piece, you could now, when you got ready to come to Athens and take live classes, you had a $300 coupon you could apply to those classes. Now the purpose was it, and guys, there was a method to the madness. We knew if you learned with the home study, you might get the good information that you needed, fill in the dots. But what we also know, confidence really skyrockets when you can start putting your hands on it. So what we wanted to do is give you an opportunity to come to Athens, sit in the classes. So you get to sit in the class here live, putting your hands on it. Now, there's another little caveat that works with this. From the day that you come and spend the live class with us, with the RV maintenance, now that's the first 5 days, you can come back anytime within that first year. Anytime from the, so let's say you came here, and I'm gonna pull a date out of the air. Let's say you came here July the 1st and took a class. You have all the way till July the 1st of next year to come back and take that class again as a do-over at no cost. All I'm going to ask you to do is when you come back and do the do-over, let us know what dates you like. Make sure that we've got room in the classroom, because you can see how sometimes they are. Sometimes they're a little busy, but we set aside a certain number of chairs for people to come back and do do-overs. But I'm going to ask you to bring your material, the material that you used in your class, whether it's the home study or maybe if you took the 5-day class before. And then also I'm going to ask you to bring your tools, but I'm going to ask you to be a big brother and big sister to some of the other students in the classroom, because you now have more knowledge than they do. And a lot of times you can say something or share something in a different way that might just connect the dots for them. And so by you coming, doing your hands-on, and then being able to come back again, you'll help us train the others that are coming through the program as well. Now, those of you that come through the home study program or for the either Tech in the Box or the download, the National RV Inspectors Association is going to give you a $200 discount on the membership. Normally, the membership for somebody walking in and say, hey, I want to become an RV inspector, is $499 a year for the first year. And then after that, it's $299. So what they're going to do, if you take this as a home study or you take this as a download, NRVTA, Stephanie, make sure you guys get it. She's going to get you, make sure you get a $200 discount so you don't have to pay the full meal deal on the membership for NRVTA. Okay? Well, and then there was COVID-19. Folks, let me just tell you, it was a little grim around here for a while, because our county commissioners mandated that we could not hold classes, could not hold live classes, and we could not have more than 10 people in the building. And if we violated that, the fine started at $1,000 a day, and you could spend up to 180 days in jail. Well, I looked around, nobody was interested in either one of those options. So we had to say, okay, let's step back on what's really going on. Okay? So Mr. Anderson, Lady E, and Stephanie and Todd and myself had been kind of studying under Zig Ziglar. Those of you knew Zig Ziglar, he's passed on. His son and daughter have picked up the gauntlet. His son's name is Tom. And they are still utilizing Zig Ziglar's material, and Tom is adding to it. You know, it's amazing. You hear him talk, it sounds just like his father. But this is what they said: I'm expecting the best, preparing for the worst, and maximizing what comes. Now, that's in Tom's new book that he's to come out with called Stronger. And it really resonated with me. We've always got to be looking for the positive. We've always got to be looking for the best. Because if we get into the negative zone, if we allow this fear to get into us because we're watching the news and hearing all these things, and pretty soon we are in a tailspin. We got to step away from that stuff. Yes, there's things going on, and yes, we've got to be obedient to the laws of the land because that's what we were told to do. But we've got to also prepare for the worst. What if it's going to take a little while for us to get things back to normal? Well, we need to maximize what we can. We need to maximize the situation. Well, we were sitting around, had a staff meeting, kind of bemoaning a little bit. No, we were griping is what we were doing. And Lady E spoke up. She said, what if we took these lemons, and I'm fixing to hear this, and make lemonade. But sometimes the things that come out of her mouth just totally, and I thought, that's genius. We're going to take these lemons and we're going to make lemon pie. Of course, it only come from a cookbook author, right, that would say that sort of stuff. So, hey, and when she said it, I said, okay, what are we going to do? Well, you remember that little star right there by the gate at the front entrance of the Texan RV Park? We did not know it until we got here and got settled in. And we were then told that there was fiber optics sitting out there. They said it's dark, but it has already been run down there. All you have to do is bring it onto your property, hook it into some of the transponders and transmitters and translators, and you can now start transmitting at high-speed internet using fiber optics. Now, ask yourself, what are the odds that you would buy an RV park and there would be high-speed internet sitting at the gate waiting for you to be there? Because we knew it was going to be for such a time as this. I'm sorry. Mr. Anderson.
Mr. Cooper,
Give
hang
me
in
just a
there,
second.
sir.
Just give
You're
me a
doing
second.
fine. You're doing fine. We've got a great audience and they're hanging in there with us. Folks, he's about to share with you something that it touches Mr. Cooper because he realizes that so many things have been brought to us and we've been so blessed with this property to have high-speed internet. The capability of a fiber optic line on a highway is just unheard of in a lot of communities. And for that to already be on location for us to be able to connect to within a short period of time is pretty phenomenal. So, Mr. Cooper, hang in there, grab a
Okay.
drink of water, and the folks that know you understand your heart. And what I'm hoping, folks, is those of you that are just meeting us for the first time realize that Mr. Cooper's heart is very genuine, and he is all about helping you become the very best that you can be and to be able to take care of your RV, take care of yourself, take care of your family. And so did you grab a drink, sir?
All is well. All is well.
All right. Very good.
So what Lady E said, you know that home study stuff that we have on the thumb drive where we have the download? Let's send that to the students. Remember when we were in college and we would go to English 101? And you would go to class and there would be everybody in that class. You know, you'd have engineers, you'd have pre-med, pre-law, you know, psychologists, everybody was anybody, accountants was sitting in English 101. Instructor would get up there and give you your homework assignment, your reading assignment, whatever you're supposed to do. Then this instructor would come back the next time of your class and hit the high points and coach you through what was going on. Open things up to where there could be conversation. That's what we'll do with the home study. We will take it and send it out to the students so they can watch it ahead of time and prepare themselves. Now, this is for the RV maintenance course. And then we'll develop live stream because now we have fiber optics. We can high speed and we can have live stream and also open up for Q&A. So the students can use Zoom, because that was the format we're using, is Zoom for live stream with Q&A. And then we give the students 1 year from the date that we are allowed to conduct classes again live. So if this pandemic is over with, let's say July 1st, then so from 1 year from July 1st, you have the ability to come to the school here and do your hands-on portion, no additional cost. Because I know if you can just put your hands on stuff, you will learn it just like everybody else has. I mean, we've run way too many people through the program, and I know it works. Okay, the more we touch it, the more we feel it, the more we have the ability to ask questions, we understand it. Now, this is where it all takes place. I want to show you what's taken place this last week. We kicked it off. It was kind of a beta test. We had 29 people in that class. 29 people in that class. So here we've got Howard kicking it off. Howard typically on that RV maintenance course, the first hour and a half, he goes over and talks a little bit about business, starting a business, why you need to, it talks about history. He and Pam used to sit in the same chair that you'd be sitting in. This is how they got started. We met them in Georgia, as a matter of fact, just outside of, just north of the Florida border. And they sat through the class. So what you're looking at here is the live stream taking place. And what you're looking at is you got Todd over here contemplating what we're going to do. I've learned to watch him. When he puts his beard down low, when he puts his hand on his beard down low, he's pondering something. When he puts his hand over his mouth, what he's doing, he's going to tell you some bad news and he really doesn't want to tell you. So I have to get him to the point, okay, Todd, what are we doing? Tell me the bad news, let's get it over with. And so he'll drop his hand down at the bottom of his beard and he'll talk to me. But I've begun to learn his mannerisms and kind of read him a little bit. Okay, here's Howard and Pam. These are your NRVIA instructors. They're the ones that are going to take you through the advanced class. Of course, we got Waldo the purple monkey. When you come here, we'll teach you about purple monkeys. It happens in everybody's life. Here again, you see the picture on the right. There's Tony sitting down. This guy is a genius when it comes to AV. I mean, this guy, you guys, I don't know if you've seen some of the commercials. If you have not seen the commercials that these guys have put out in these last 2 weeks, go to the NRVTA website. I'm sorry, the NRVTA site on YouTube or on Facebook. And they've got commercials there. One called Babe and I'm a Man. And then we've got, they did an interview with Karen and Keith Cup where they talked about why they came on the road. And they've got another one that they did with Jenna, a young lady, single mom, wanting to learn how to take care of a unit. Now, Todd is care of the technical. So after Howard and Pam finished with them in the morning for that first hour and a half, then Todd took it over. And so what you're looking at right here, he's doing the live Q&A on some refrigerators. And I think, well, I don't know if you see it in the background or not, but he's got some air conditioners on a cart there. So what they do is they just bring it up and it's Q&A. And you had to be real quiet when you come by there because the microphone would pick you up. So if you slam a door, everybody in the audience all over the country knew what was going on. Now, Anthony's sitting here on the ground. This guy is super tech as far as he can work on anything mechanical. That's what just totally blows me away. He just looks at it. So it does this, this, and this. And I'm thinking, where does this kid get this knowledge? But he's also very, very handy. And so he was kind of stuck to Todd's hip here this whole week, helping him make sure that the sounds were right. Tony was working on the background, answering questions, technical questions. And then we had Todd getting up and close and personal. Because what we knew is that many of you would have questions when you were taking the home study because we needed to make sure that you understood the material. And so that's what he did. So here he is. He's got up close and furnace. He happens to have water heaters. The one on the left happens to be a Suburban. The one on the right happens to be a Dometic, what we call Dometic. It's the old Atwood brand. And he's coaching you through it. And this picture right here would have been day number 5, where he's taking you through and showing you different things on those water heaters. Now, another thing that we have found over and over again is people need to learn how to use a bolt-on meter so they can check for voltage, they can check for continuity, to do their testing. So we're going to talk about voltage and what it is. We're going to talk about amperage and what it is, and resistance and what that is. And also going to talk about wattage. You need to know these things so that way you know how to talk RVNEs whenever you talk to the technicians, when you bring it into a shop, or you know what to do and how to troubleshoot it and be able to work on it yourself, okay? Now, this morning when I got up, I began to start having all these pings come in. And these are some of the things that were said about the hybrid course that they just finished this last week. I was most impressed. I had been kind of hearing little things, and so I kind of had a feel for it, but I just wanted to make sure. And I want you guys to see what we're seeing, how successful this has been, that you can take a hybrid class, take the home study version, either thumb drive or download the material, and then do the live Q&A, and then come back and come back and review it. Because what they do see is they have recorded this material. You're going to be able to come back and play it again, so that way you've got access to this material. Can you see yourself being here? Because remember, we're expecting the best, preparing for the worst, and let's just lay it out on the table. I've already begun to get messages from certain individuals telling me, say, Cooper, I just got laid off. I just got terminated. And these are guys that I know have strong technical. And there's people that are calling me and say, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've done this job for basically since I was out of college or out of high school. Folks, it's not the end of the world. We've got to look at something different. Sometimes we've got to step back and say, where's the door that's opening? But if we're running around crying, it doesn't happen. If you've ever raised children, you know what happens when you have that child that's needs a nap and they're tired, and you try to give them something to eat and they just get real fussy and they push your hand away, and you say, well, here, take this, you're hungry. No, I don't want that. And so, but if the child will just relax and realize that mom and dad's trying to take care of them, all will be well. And that's where we are now, folks. We've got to realize that God has his hand up on each and every one of us. Now, I make no apology, but I just need you to understand, I've had enough things happen in my life to where I realize, had it not been for the hand of God being upon us, we would not have the opportunities that God's given us. So I'm not going to belabor the point, but I just want you to understand, there's no need to be fearful. There is hope. There's opportunity. And sometimes we need to hang out with others that can help carry us along. And so that's what I want to offer you guys, the opportunity to be part of something that will take your life in a whole new direction. Maybe you're one of these guys and ladies that, putting in the 80-hour weeks, and you're staying home with your family and you realize, can I really go back to that? And I'm going to use that term slavery because that's what it is sometimes. I've been there. I've worked for corporate America. So there are now 3 ways that you can be successful with the RV maintenance. Plain and simple. The 5-day life. I love to have people here because the stories you tell, but we can't do anything until they lift the shelter in place on us. Or you can go ahead and get the home study and get started, okay? Or you can do the hybrid. There's 3 opportunities here, and these open the door for you to be able to go in one of 3 directions, either just to master your RV and that's all you need, or go and become an RV inspector, or maybe go over and become RV tech type, okay? Whether you're a technician, run a mobile service, or, because a lot of folks travel around the highway up and down, and they stay at different places, and they hang their shingle out. They have their signs on their trucks and vehicles, and they tell everybody, I do RV repair. So keep this in mind. Knowledge is power, and it will vaporize that fear. I know. I remember one time in my life, I was so fearful, I just laid on the couch and just pulled the cover up over my head. But I also realized that if I stayed there, nothing would change. But if I would step out, and I'm going to call it a leap of faith, it's amazing how things take place. But sometimes we got to take the first step in order for things to happen. So I'm just going to be real frank with you. If you're one of those that's struggling, now's the chance. Now's the opportunity for you to say, okay, I can do something different. Maybe this RV lifestyle, or heaven forbid, I already know some individuals that are saying, hey, I don't know how long I'm going to be able to hang on to this house. But you know what? That's okay. It is okay. You have your health, you have your family, and all is good. Take a look. There's open doors, and you've got to find the one that works for you, where you're supposed to be. Okay? So I'm going to encourage you to take a serious look. And if you'll come on board with us, we'll give you everything we've got. We'll pour into you the knowledge to help you be successful. I know Howard and Pam, I know where their heart is. I know where Todd Henson's heart is, and Stephanie. I mean, those two, they eat, sleep, and drink it. And Howard and Pam, you know, if you want to know RV inspection, those are the ones to talk to. We've got a gentleman, his name is Leon Booth, that's teaching the appliance classes. This guy owns a mobile service out in West Texas. Leon comes and teaches the air conditioner, the refrigerators and furnaces and water heaters. And what I like about what he does, he brings the live experience with him. There's always the textbook knowledge, but Leon gives the world experience that, Cooper, I've seen this before, and here's what it was. Well, that's not in any tech manual that the manufacturer ever wrote, but he's got that live experience. And then on week number 5, the exterior. You know, we've got Dick Carnes, the one who put all of that equipment together for us for LCI. That guy is a phenomenal welder, very mechanical. He totally gets it. We've got Anthony, you know, the one I was telling you about that was helping Todd. And so we've got people here that have knowledge. So I want you to take a look. This may very well be the next step for you. But you say, well, I don't know if I can do that. Well, if you can't really make the big decision, at least stick your toe in the water and get the home study option and see if that fixes the issue for you. Okay? But I would hope you would take a bigger step than that and join us for the hybrid, because I think that's really where you need to be. Mr. Anderson?
All right, Mr. Cooper. I have a lot of people that are still on board with us and are asking questions. And we have Lady E in the background now too, who's also jumped on board to help me out trying to keep up with all these questions. A lot of folks who are some of our previous students who have purchased the RV Tech course in a box are asking some variable questions, and I know some. That's why I asked Lady E to jump on, and I believe she's answering most of those questions. Some of the questions are wrapped around, all right, I'm already doing the RV maintenance course in the box. Can I upgrade that to the hybrid version? And I guess I would be open to if Lady E can open her microphone and come on. I didn't ask her about that earlier. I think it might be good if we got her input on that, if you're open to that.
Yeah, can you hear me, Steve?
We sure can. You sound
Awesome.
great.
Awesome. Yeah, there's lots of questions, and I would be very happy to address a lot of these. Okay. At this time, I was typing in, can you be registered with the Tech in the Box, or are all levels of completion done at the schoolhouse? And the Tech on the Stick is more of a Head Start learning. You know what? You're correct in your assessment. We want to give you the education that you need. So if you're wanting to go out and you're wanting to do work for yourself, or even starting your own business, and we want to get you ahead by giving you this information with these hybrid classes. However, just think about this. When you come to the school and you participate and you get your hands on and you actually are doing your registered certification and your second level, which is called the certification level, and your master's, all of those all include hands-on things. So we have to be able to make sure that you have a complete understanding of that to get that. We understand. Now, is there something in the future that might happen to where we can do this online? Maybe. But at this point in time, you have to realize that we're only like 3 weeks old and getting everything changed over to hybrid. We know the perfect scenario is doing hands-on, you being here at the school, but we know that this thing has the possibility to have us all in one location at our own location and not being able to travel for some time. So we're giving you an opportunity to learn, get the theory, and doing the best we can on giving you an instructor to be in front of, even if it's there in your computer, ask questions and so forth. It's a really good way to start. We have gotten the reviews back from this last class that just happened, which was our first one. It was all raves. It was wonderful. People saying, you know what, this was great. We learned so much. And of course, they want to be here at the school. But this is a great opportunity for people to move forward, get the education, and then look forward to coming to Athens when the time is right. Okay, I know that was a long answer.
Some of the questions, Iveta, are specifically asking, they've already purchased the RV Tech in the Box course, and they would like to know what would be the process to actually move forward to get involved in the hybrid concept.
Okay, that's when you would just need to send me an email, and let's put it at info@nrvta.com. That goes to several of us. We're able to address that. And yeah, if you want to jump on board and you want to do this, by all means, please reach out, and then we'll get back to you. We do intend this next Monday to start with advanced level RV inspectors class. And you know what? We are so thrilled that Howard has 29 students registered for that. People are excited. And coming after that week is going to be AC. And when I say AC, it's air conditioning with heat pumps. And we will be doing live stream all day long. I know that sounds kind of a lot, but if you were here with us in class, we would be pumping information into you all that time. So yeah, you're going to have the opportunity to ask questions and see what's going on. We're going to do the best we can on giving you the best education possible in this kind of situation. So yes, please do. One of my concerns, Steve, that one of the things about going into the advanced classes is, do you know how to use your voltometer? Do you know how to use a manometer? Do you know how to go and check for hot skin? Do you know these things? When you go into an advanced class, you would have already gotten that information, and we know that you will be successful in it, right? Here's something that we have to be really careful of. If you're wanting to jump into these classes, just know that if you lack in that, it's going to be a struggle for you. Okay, keep that in mind. If you need more instruction on voltometer, how to use that, and and operate it and so forth, those things need to be addressed. And I'll get with Mr. Cooper, and I'll get with Todd, and being able to supply you with maybe some extra video or something that can help in that manner. But to me, I want you to know what you're up against when you get into the advanced classes, because it is that. We want you to know all of those things beforehand. Okay, help me with this, Steve, because there's a ton of questions in here.
There's a lot of questions, you bet. They're asking about, are all the levels of tech courses going to be available on the home study hybrid training program?
Okay, that's a good question. I start off by saying no, but I didn't know we were even going to be doing this. As times change, and we know that we all need to be successful, and we have to find ways to make people successful. Our best scenario at this point in time with this hybrid is to get you in it and you're going to participate in hybrid. You're going to actually have the opportunity to come to Athens when you're finished, I should say, when this travel stay at home place thing is lifted. You can come and participate in class at no cost, no extra cost. It's all included in that one price. But to have it on like a home study course, I don't know. Is that our future? Possibly. But I tell you one thing, we'll let you know when and if it happens, but I don't want to discourage you and say, okay, let's wait for this to happen, because I don't know that it will be. Okay, I'm just being honest with you.
All right, there's quite a few questions being asked, many of them who have already purchased the home study course, wanting to know what the price difference would be to get involved in the hybrid class. And I think I can answer, well, I probably should let you answer that one.
Okay, so as it stands right now, anyone who comes through a home study course, there is a $300 coupon to come to Athens and take the technical, okay? That's the way it stands, and we will always have it that way. The cost of the class remains the same, all right? So let's say that you go, all right, I bought this home study course and I still want to come back to Athens and I want to take week 1 and I want to get the hands-on of all this information that I just received. That's cool. You come in, instead of $1,644, it's $1,344, okay? We're giving you that $300 discount. Now, if you're coming in, you go, you know what? I want to go into these advanced classes. Now, we know here at the Athens, we know the best scenario is you guys have got to know your electrical. You've got to know propane and water before you can jump into this stuff. And we don't want you to be behind, you know, on day 1 if you don't have a true understanding. Let us work through that. Now, the cost of the classes are still going to be $1,500, the advanced, because it will be the recording and not recording. It will be the hybrid class, which is a live class. It will be given to you as a recording to view all the way up until you can say, all right, I'm coming to Athens, time to participate in the hands-on. But you get all of that for the same price, okay? At this point in time, this is how it's being operated.
All right. Lots of various questions that are getting into more depth on wanting to know about tools and all of those types of things. I can simply share with those folks wanting that information. The volume of tools that you need is not great. And dollars and cents wise, what do you tell folks, Iveta, cost wise, what they need for tools roughly?
On week 1, it's just like at that home study course. When you get your tool list, there's approximately $150 worth of tools. It's the amp clamp voltometer that the instructors want you to have. It has certain things, I think 4 requirements that they want you to have, and the manometer and your just various screwdrivers and wrenches. I'm going to say probably no more than $150 for week 1. Now week 2, which is the air conditioning, Mr. Leon, he asked that people bring like portable drills and certain drill bits that you see when you're working with these particular appliances and so forth. Even still, it's a lot of things that we already own. So we're not asking you to jump out there and this is going to be a lot of in-depth money, right? Because most of us already have these things, but we'll be happy to give you a tool list that's a requirement, for those. And that's no problem, but it's not a big investment at all.
All right, we have some folks that have jumped on probably a little later in the presentation. They're saying, well, you keep talking about Athens, and Athens, Texas is what we're talking about. That is the home of the Big Red Schoolhouse that houses the National RV Training Academy. And it is located roughly about 70 miles southeast of Dallas, just to give you a heads up of where Athens is. There are a lot of Athens around the country in different states, but that's the one that we're talking about. And there's questions about from veterans coming in asking if this can be training that their veterans benefits can be applied towards. And I can tell you at this point in time, because Mr. Cooper and I are working on this with a professional individual who's getting us through all of the red tape that it takes to become a certified program that the Veterans Administration will approve. And sorry to say it's not there yet. And we're also working through the workforce, Texas Workforce Organization, and we are getting there. And I believe by fall, if pandemic does not slow us down, I believe that hopefully we'll be there by fall. If not by fall, hopefully by the end of 2020. But I'm calling in by fall. I would sure love to see that happening because we have a lot of you out there that are veterans, and we know that you would like to utilize those benefits, and we would like you to be able to utilize those benefits to be able to gain this knowledge and this training.
I had the executive director of the Texas RV Association and I were talking the other day because I sit on the education board, And he told me, he said, you guys are going to be listed as essential. He said, once you get all your paperwork pulled together, because like Mr. Anderson said, there's a ton of red tape. He said, once you get your paperwork pulled together, I will go ahead and push the button and get our lobbyist involved. So that way we can go ahead and start putting some pressure, because he said, what you guys are doing there in Athens is essential for us, because the only way the RV industry is going to stay alive is that we continue to provide technical training. And he said, there isn't any here in the United States. He said, there's 2 little schools down in Florida, and then they've opened up a school up in Elkhart, Indiana, that's still wobbly leg. They don't have it really going just yet. And so we're the only ones in the United States that has a full-fledged training program that takes you from day one all the way through certifications. And he said, Cooper, we've got to have it. So he said, we'll help you push this thing through.
There's lots of great questions in this chat box, and I'm going to try to address some of them. Someone that says, I don't own an RV. Can I do this without having an RV? You know what? This is going to be extremely difficult. Okay. Unless you have an RV or have had experience with one, I would say that you would, if you don't have a way to do this hands-on thing as we're moving through the program, I'm going to say it's very difficult. If you have a friend that has one, if you can use theirs, you know, that would be the best. When people come to Athens and are part of our training, if they don't own an RV, that is not an issue, because we have so many around here that they can use. So you can see that's the best scenario. But if you're out there where you're at and don't have access to an RV, this is going to be really difficult for you. All right. Let's see.
All right, I think we're getting there.
Yeah, the cost of the hybrids. Okay, the cost of the hybrids are going to stay the same cost as what we do for on-site training. And the reason why is because in that price, you're getting several things. You're getting the live stream with the instructor. Everything we're doing, we put in a recorded version, and we actually assign you a student portal so you can go in there anytime and review that information. And it will be there for as long as it takes for you to finally get to Athens, because once the restrictions are lifted on traveling, then you have 12 months to get here. And then at that point, when you're doing hands-on with the instructor, that's when your portal will go away. So we're giving you a big bang for your buck here. So we're going to leave it at the same prices that you see on the internet, on our website. You know, that is the same price for the hybrid, okay?
All right, there's a lot of great questions. There's the information people are asking about the full class schedule and all of that. If you go to nrvta.com, that website is very detailed in showing all the various courses, showing the course dates, and of course we're amending those dates as we move forward into this pandemic agenda. And our belief is, and we're moving forward in hope that by summer, hopefully, we will be able to start getting back into some of those live classes, as we've got some of the folks that are actually full-time living at the Texan RV Park on here today, and they're making comments about how it's a beautiful park, but it's kind of quiet right now, and that's
Amen.
true, because we don't have people in and out.
We have a beautiful park, and we're only about 50%. And just saying, you guys, if there's anybody that's close by and you're being booted from where you're at, and I know there's a lot of park closures going around, especially on a government side, like the state side, and even some of the personal, privately owned. But we're here. If we've got a spot, we'll put you in there, and you know what? We're going to help support you. So come on by, and if you want to, you know, stay at the park.
Yeah, the only caveat we'll throw into that, Ms. Iveta, is we are going to ask you to 14-day quarantine yourself.
Absolutely, yeah.
And to make sure that you're safe, as well as keeping others around you safe.
Yeah, we are doing restricted hours at the office, trying to do what we can about doing, you know, check you in online rather than coming in the office. We've shut down our shower rooms. You'll have to use your own personal, you know, showers and so forth. We do have our laundry still open. However, there's only X amount of people that are allowed in there at a time. So we're doing what we can about keeping everyone safe.
All right, we have folks asking questions, which I think we'll probably deal with more on an individual basis about they've signed up for training in the future, what we need them to do,
Yeah.
and that type of thing. Couple questions that were kind of generalized that popped in. Says, do you actually bring your RV when you come to Athens? That is our goal. And early in the presentation, when Mr. Cooper was talking about how we believe we were led to the Texan RV Park, is we wanted a campground operation where you could actually come and stay at that facility and go through the training. And that's just exactly what we have built over the last, it's 2017, right, Mr. Cooper? We purchased the park in July of 2017. So since that time, we have seen all of this come to fruition. So yes, you can bring your RV, actually camp right there on property. You can walk to school. You can come and enjoy your classes, and then have the facility to utilize during your off hours outside of class. And somebody says, is a fifth wheel acceptable to do the hybrid training? Absolutely, that would be phenomenal.
It doesn't matter what kind of RV you have, it's all good.
No, and if you don't have an RV, if you have a friend who has an RV, what Evada was getting at was there are going to be things that you need to do during this concept of doing this hybrid training, that you'll need some equipment that it'll be difficult if you don't have an RV available. And so that doesn't necessarily mean you got to go run out and buy one. In fact, we encourage you to learn this information before you do that, because you are very well educated and prepared to go and purchase an RV. After you become educated, find someone who has one. Maybe go to that dealership and say, hey, I'm taking this class and I'm thinking about buying an RV from you. Would you allow me to look at certain things on some of these RVs and so on? Any other ideas there, guys, that we could help these guys with? Because I see a little bit of that fear coming in from some of the folks online here that they don't have an RV yet. So they say, well, maybe I don't need to take the class yet. I'm a firm believer in getting the education before you put yourself out there as a consumer.
Yeah, that's the perfect scenario, Steve, is definitely being able, and we've had plenty of students come to class and stay here at the park, and they stay in one of our cabins or use one of our rentals because they don't have an RV, and they want to know before they go and purchase. And that's great. That is it's a great way to learn. But yeah, you need to find a way that you have access to an RV for you to be able to do this. If you own a Class B, one of the questions, a Class B, is that okay? You bet, because a Class B still has 3 electrical systems, has a propane system and a water system, and they have appliances in it. So you bet you're going to want to know how all of this works. So Class B, you bet. Does a couple pay for the course twice? If you are 2 individuals who are wanting a certificate of completion for a particular class, the answer is yes. And we do give 10% off on one of those students for coming in. Let's see.
Now, what we have done in some situations is that we've had some folks that said, look, I'm going to take the home study, then I'm going to come to class, and my partner is going to take the home study, but that partner is not going to get the certification. They just want the knowledge, and I'm going to go ahead and follow up and get my credentials. And so we understand, because I'll tell you folks, if both of you and your partner are on board together, it's easier for you guys, because one of you encourages the other one when they kind of get down a little bit, and one of them pushes the other one a little bit when they need that little jump start, So yeah, let's take advantage of it. There's ways to work this thing so you guys can all benefit from this.
Yeah. Okay, there is some questions about payments and and all that kind of stuff. I will let you know that one of my hats that I wear is called creative financing. Okay. Yes, you can go to the website. Yes, you can purchase a class straight from the website, class 1, and the home study course that's available there as well. There are options, like if you wanted to make several payments versus one payment, that's all good. But you know what, everybody's situation is different, and if you send me an email either through the info at NRVTA or my personal one, which is Lady E. Cooper at NRVTA, and let's talk about it, because I do one-on-one with individuals who are needing special setups to get through. The one thing that we do require is the class be paid for by the time that it starts. So if we can get you there, we will be happy to do that.
Well, I would say we're getting pretty close here, Missy Veda. I think a lot of the questions are about the pricing and all those types of things. You'll be able to work with them on that on an individual basis.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Cooper, we are an hour and 25 minutes into this, and
Oh boy.
I am so pleased that and this is kudos to the audience. Obviously, um, we are providing them with a message that they wanted to hear, because we've had literally hundreds of folks stay on here with us for now almost 90 minutes, and that's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Any closing words you'd like to share?
Well, you know, before you and I pushed the record button, you and I were discussing about doing something like this on a monthly basis. And I was thinking as you guys were talking, probably the next step for us is going to be is to help some folks to understand the opportunities that are available to them. You know, how to set up a business, but sometimes you just need somebody to say, hey, let me show you a trick here. Let me show you something. So there's things coming up in this industry that are changing, and there may be some opportunities that may not necessarily be on the surface. So stay tuned. We'll be sending out emails and messages to everyone to let you know when we have this next one. But I think the next one, we might want to take a serious look about different ways that people could utilize this knowledge and make a living.
All right. Any last words, Missy Veda? Didn't want to leave you.
Steve, as I go through it, all of these are awesome questions, and they all deserve an answer. And I believe that one of my goals as a team here at NRVTA is to get your questions answered, and they're all great. We want you to feel comfortable in what we are moving forward in, because one of the things that we are so passionate about is to make sure that if you want the education, we're going to make sure you get a great one. And how do we make that happen? Well, this is a great start. I'm really, I'm so thankful for our team for working so hard to move forward in this type of teaching, because just like 3 months ago, if you would have ask any of them saying, hey, you want to do this online? All of them would say, you know, the best way to get an education is hands-on. You know that. And I do. I know that. But in this time, these times, and we don't know how long they're going to last, but we know that we can come across and give you guys a great starting, get ahead of, you know, let's get this information in you so that way you can start on your own personal goals, whatever that is, and let's work on it together. We're going to do our part.
All right. Well, with that, I think we need to call it a wrap. And we want to thank you for joining us. And if you've asked questions on here, we will get back to you on those. We can still just email those responses to you. And we thank you for joining us today. And we are very pleased that you wanted to learn about the Big Red Schoolhouse and the National RV Training Academy. So this is Steve Anderson for Work Camper News. And for Mr. Terry Cooper, the Texas RV professor, and Lady E. Cooper, we want to thank you for your time, and we will see you down the road. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.